The day his first love came back, I thoughtfully swapped his birth control pills for vitamins and slid the divorce papers across the table. Elijah Voss stared at the documents, his fingers pausing mid-rotation on his prayer beads. I kept my gaze lowered, voice thick with tears. She's back. And I don't want to make things difficult for you, Mr. Voss. Let's end this cleanly. Sign it. $1 billion. Male strippers. Jerry's abs. The next second, the string on Elijah's prayer beads snapped. Beads scattered across the floor. He looked up sharply, eyes bloodshot, and pinned me with a stare. Emma, whose abs do you plan to touch with my money? I kept my face neutral. How the hell does this bastard know I want to touch abs? Is he bluffing? Out loud, I cried harder. No one. I only have you. How can you accuse me of that? I wiped my tears and reached for his sleeve, fingertips trembling, playing the helpless wife to perfection. Quit playing the big bad wolf. We're getting divorced, why do you care who I touch? Never mind Jerry. Once the money hits my account, I'm booking Tom and Jack too. Every single night, taking turns giving me private shows. Elijah's jaw twitched violently, his expression turned ugly. He shook off my hand so hard I nearly crashed into the coffee table. Good, very good. His voice was cold, gritted through his teeth. Tom, Jack, Emma, you've got quite the appetite. My heart dropped. What the fuck? How does he know about Tom and Jack too? Did my club membership get exposed? No way, I used my mom's ID to sign up. Panic flared inside, but I was convinced that as long as I didn't admit anything, he couldn't do a thing. I lifted my head. Red-rimmed eyes blank and wrong. Elijah? What are you talking about? Tom? Is that the cat your sister's keeping? Elijah took a deep breath and closed his eyes. When he opened them again, those dark irises churned with a fire that could devour someone alive. He picked up the divorce papers and tore them to shreds. Paper scraps drifted down. I froze. My $1 billion. My happy place. Elijah Voss, you son of a bitch. If you won't sign, fine, but why tear the papers? Do you know how much printing costs? Elijah strode forward and gripped my chin, forcing me to look up at him. His fingertips were rough, callous from years of turning prayer beads, and the friction stung. Want to take the money and run? Want to book male strippers? He leaned in, his hot breath fanning my face, aggressive and domineering. Emma, not in this lifetime. With that, he pulled out his phone and dialed his assistant, voice ice cold. Cut all supplementary cards under Emma's name, including her mother's. Also, look into every exclusive club in the city. Find anyone named Jerry, Tom, or Jack, blacklist all of them. Me. Elijah Voss, go fuck yourself. The call ended. My heart was bleeding, money gone. Male strippers gone too. Grief washed over me. This time, the tears were real. I cried with every fiber of my being. Elijah, you can't do this to me. I already stepped aside. Why do you have to humiliate me? I collapsed on the floor, sobbing wretchedly. May you never get it up. May I cheat on you? May your poop clog the toilet. Elijah's face darkened. A vein throbbed at his temple. He suddenly bent down, slung me over his shoulder, and marched toward the stairs. The world spun. I screamed in terror. What are you doing? Put me down. Elijah kicked the bedroom door open and threw me onto the massive bed. Before I could scramble up, his tall frame bore down on me. One hand freed his tie while the other pinned my wrists above my head, those usually cold. Ascetic eyes were now dark with lust and ruthlessness, cursing me to never get it up. He smirked coldly. His knee forced my legs apart. Emma, tonight I'll show you exactly who's incapable. As for that Jerry H, better pray I don't find him. Otherwise, I'll show him what hands like heaven really means. I closed my eyes, bracing for the storm. But just as his kiss was about to land, the phone on the nightstand rang. The ringtone was shrill, a death knell, and a lifeline. Elijah froze, brows furrowed. The lust hadn't faded from his eyes, leaving him visibly annoyed. I seized the chance to slip out from under him, wrapping myself in the blanket and huddling in the corner of the bed, face full of terror. Answer it. Answer it already. A late-night call. Who else could it be but that White Lotus Sophia? Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Phone company. Thank you. Gods above and below. If it gets him to leave right now, I'll kowtow 3 times to Sophia. Elijah's hand holding the phone stiffened. He gave me a long, unreadable look. But he answered. Elijah, I'm so scared. There's thunder. Can you come check on me? The voice through the receiver was soft and cloying, trembling crystal clear in the quiet night. It was her. Just as I thought. I immediately switched on my understanding. Magnanimous, perfect wife face. I sniffled, my voice thick with tears. is that Sophia? She just got back. She must be jet-lagged. Go be with her. Don't worry about me. Leave. Get out, preferably into her bed and never come back. I want this king-size bed all to myself. Elijah snorted. He ignored Sophia on the line and hung up directly. You're so generous. He tossed the phone back onto the nightstand. And I flinched. Since you want me to go so badly, I'm not going. He slowly unbuttoned his shirt, stripping naked in front of me, then lifted the covers and slid in. He reached out and locked me in his arms. Sleep, are you insane? Your first love is calling, go to her. Why are you hanging around here? If you don't go, how am I supposed to book strippers? I spent the night trapped in Elijah's suffocating embrace. The next morning, I was woken by noises downstairs. I came down to find the living room piled with Louis Vuitton trunks. Like someone was moving in. Sophia was in a hospital gown, looking like she could faint at any moment, dabbing tears on the sofa. When she saw Elijah and me coming down, she immediately stood up and swayed. Elijah, I'm sorry, I was so scared last night. I had no choice but to bother you too. Her eyes were red as she looked at me pitifully. Emma, you don't mind, do you? My health isn't great. And Elijah worries about me living alone, mind? I don't mind at all. If you move in, not only can you distract this pervert Elijah, you might even drive me out too. Then I can claim my share of the family fortune fair and square. Hurry up. Say you want the master bedroom. Take that bastard Elijah away. I immediately forced a smile even weaker than hers, walked over, and took her hand. Of course not, Sophia. This was always your home. Elijah and I both think of you as a sister. Elijah's hand, which was fastening his cufflinks, paused. He looked up at me, and his gaze was icy. Sophia clearly hadn't expected me to be so agreeable. She blinked, then glanced at Elijah smugly. Elijah, Emma's so well behaved. Elijah said nothing, heading straight for the dining room. Let's eat first. At the table, the atmosphere was bizarre. Sophia naturally sat to Elijah's left, my usual spot. I didn't care at all, cheerfully taking the seat across. The maid served breakfast, congee and pickled vegetables. Sophia took one sip of congee, frowned, and clutched her chest with a dry heave. What's wrong? Elijah asked flatly. Nothing. It's just, this congee tastes fishy. Sophia leaned delicately against Elijah. Elijah, you know I got used to Western food abroad. This kind of Chinese food, my stomach isn't handling it well. Fishy? Seafood congee is supposed to be fishy. Who are you putting on a show for? Your stomach isn't the problem, your brain is. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Better yet, starve, saves food. Elijah's hand holding the spoon trembled. He suddenly picked up a chopstickful of cilantro, Sophia's most hated vegetable, and dropped it into my bowl. Don't force yourself if you don't like it, he said to Sophia, then turned to me with a meaningful look. Emma isn't picky. Eat up. I stared at the pile of green cilantro, my face falling. I nodded through tears. Thank you, darling, I love cilantro. Then I shoved the whole clump into my mouth like a soldier charging into battle, swallowing without chewing. Elijah, go fuck yourself. Just you wait. Next time I'm spiking your bowl too. I'll spit in your coffee. Turn you into a brain-dead idiot. Elijah's hand, reaching for his coffee, froze mid-air. He looked at the cup, then at my innocent, well-behaved face. He set the cup down hard, coffee sloshed over the rim. What's wrong, Elijah? Sophia jumped. Elijah's face was ashen. He picked up the expensive Blue Mountain coffee and dumped the entire cup into the trash can beside him. Not drinking it, he stood up and looked down at me. His voice came out through gritted teeth. Lost my appetite. I blinked innocently. Lost your appetite over that? Probably because Sophia's perfume reeks. That smell is suffocating. Sophia's face twisted. She bit her lip, looking utterly wronged. Elijah, did I do something wrong? Elijah ignored her, dropping coldly. There's a gala tonight. Both of you are coming. With that, he strode out. I tried to slip away too. It barely stood up when Sophia called after me. She dropped the fragile act, her eyes dismissive as she looked me up and down. Emma, do you even know what kind of gala this is tonight? She walked over and reached out to adjust my collar. The gesture intimate, her voice dripped with superiority. It's the most exclusive event in the city. Old money, old families. You're just a country bumpkin who's never even touched a piano. You'll only embarrass Elijah. Oh, dropping the act already? Sophia leaned in and whispered venomously in my ear. Be smart. Step down from being Mrs. Voss, otherwise, tonight I'll make sure you lose face in front of the entire city's elite. I looked at her twisted face and smiled. You're right, Sophia. I stepped back, deferential. I really don't know anything. I'll be counting on you to take care of me tonight, yes. Please embarrass me. The more, the better. I want Elijah to think I've humiliated him so thoroughly he signs the divorce papers tonight. You said it yourself if you don't sabotage my divorce plan tonight. You're a coward. Sophia smiled smugly, thinking she'd intimidated me. She didn't see Elijah, already at the door, suddenly stop. He glanced back, his gaze landing on Sophia's triumphant face. Then it swept over my bowed, obedient form. A cruel smile curved his lips. Want a divorce? He murmured, so quietly only the air could hear. Dream on. The city's most exclusive private club? The lighting was sultry. Sophia wore a couture gown, wine glass in hand, walking intimately at Elijah's side. I followed behind with my head down, playing the part of the embarrassing, downtrodden wife. A group of jewel-bedecked society wives clustered around us. Sophia smiled warmly and took my hand, introducing me to everyone. This is Emma, she emphasized. She grew up in the countryside, not much exposure to the world. But she's so talented, she's a master of the zither, chess, calligraphy and painting. Suppressed snickers broke out around us. The wives whispered, their eyes raking over me with undisguised contempt. Sophia pointed to an antique harp not far away. She beamed, Emma, why don't you play something for us? Liven things up? I immediately hunched my shoulders and waved my hands frantically. My eyes welled up with tears. Sophia, I really can't. I've never learned the harp. My voice trembled. Selling the insecure, cowardly country girl act. Play my ass. I used to be the top DJ at midnight. My hands moved so fast they sparked. Even the owner lit my cigarettes. A harp? Please, I'm not playing. Mock me. I want the whole room laughing at me. Make Elijah so ashamed he divorces me tonight. Elijah was holding a glass, listening to someone make small talk. When he heard my inner voice, his wrist jerked. He turned and stared heavily at my hands clasped together, seemingly nervous and helpless. Sophia saw I wasn't moving and refused to let it go. She marched over, grabbed my arm, and dragged me toward the harp. Emma, don't be shy. Her grip was brutal, nails digging into my flesh. Anything you play will be appreciated. Elijah wants to hear it too. I stumbled, tears nearly spilling. Pinching me? You old green tea bitch. How dare you pinch me? Once I get my billion, I'll hire 10 loud middle-aged women to do line dancing outside your apartment every day. Drive you crazy. Elijah strode over. He seized Sophia's wrist and tore her hand away without mercy. Sophia yelped in pain, her smile freezing. Elijah pulled me behind him, the movement commanding. He scanned the room coldly, his gaze finally landing on Sophia's blanched face. She's not playing. His low voice cut through the noisy hall. The room went dead silent. My wife's hands are far too precious. He pulled out a handkerchief, wiped his hand, and tossed it in the trash. There for counting money, not for playing music to amuse others. Everyone shut up. A few wives who'd laughed earlier went pale. I hid behind Elijah, completely stunned. What's gotten into this bastard? He's actually defending me? No. He must be afraid I'll play terribly and embarrass him. That's it. Definitely. Capitalists care most about face. Elijah's rigid back went stiff. He whipped around and glared at me, eyes murderous. I quickly lowered my head and continued playing the shrinking violet. Just then, a waiter passed with a tray. On it rested an ornate sterling silver cufflink. This cufflink bore the Voss family crest, rumored to be handcrafted by the family's finest artisans, symbolizing the Voss legacy and heritage. Only core bloodline members were permitted to wear one. Sophia's eyes lit up. She looked at Elijah lovingly. Elijah, that cufflink is beautiful. Her voice was soft, loaded with implication. Elijah's expression didn't change. He picked up the cufflink directly. Like it? He asked. Sophia lowered her head shyly, holding out both hands to receive it. Thank you, Elijah. She didn't finish. Elijah walked right past her, picked up the cufflink, and tossed it into my arms. The force was so hard it knocked the wind out of me. Keep it. Play with it. Elijah looked down at me, eyes fierce. Not enough. I'll have more made for you when we get home. He leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper. Stop obsessing over worthless garbage. Sophia's hands hung frozen in mid-air. She stared at the cufflink in my arms in disbelief, face ashen, lips trembling. Every eye in the room was on me. I clutched the heavy cufflink, my mind blank. It wasn't for her. It was for me. If we get divorced, Does this count as my personal property? How much can I sell it for? Before I could finish appraising it in my head, Sophia's fingers twitched, her wine glass tilted, and half a glass of deep red wine splashed across my gown. Running down my collarbone and into the neckline, the cold wine slid down, sticky and spreading. Before I could scream, Sophia struck first. Ah, her hand flew up, and the glass shattered on the floor. She covered her mouth and stepped back, tears appearing on cue. Emma, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Her eyes were red, voice trembling. I was just trying to wipe the dust off your cufflink, and my hand slipped. This gown was custom made by Elijah, wasn't it? What a shame it's ruined, gasps rippled through the crowd. I looked down at the glaring red stain on my chest, then at Sophia's pitiful face. Wipe dust? Who wipes dust with red wine? This acting deserves an Oscar. Good thing it's ruined. This dress is so tight I can't breathe. Perfect excuse to take it off. Shame about my boobs though. Marinated in cheap wine. Elijah stood nearby, face dark. His eyes were fixed on the wine-soaked fabric. His Adam's apple bobbed, gaze dark and unreadable. Since it's wet, go change. He took off his suit jacket and wrapped it around me firmly, blocking all the prying eyes. Then he looked at Sophia. If your hand slips, see a doctor. Stop being an eyesore. Sophia went pale, about to say more. One look from Elijah silenced her. I wrapped myself in his jacket, cedar and cold spice, and hurried to the VIP changing room backstage. Inside, I locked the door behind me and exhaled. Finally, freedom. This bastard has a terrible temper, but his coat is warm. I checked myself in the mirror, curled my lip at the red stain. The dress had a zipper anti-human design. The zipper was in the back. I reached around, couldn't reach it, and worked up a sweat trying. The door lock suddenly turned. I jumped. Before I could turn around, a powerful force shoved me deeper into the changing room, pressing me against the full-length mirror. Cedar scent washed over me. Elijah locked the door behind him. One hand braced beside my head, caging me against the mirror in the cramped space. The air suddenly grew thin. Mr. Voss? I looked at him nervously, heart hammering. This is the women's changing room. What are you doing in here? If someone sees. What the fuck? Pervert. Does this bastard have a voyeurism kink? Though honestly, at this distance, I can see his eyelashes. They're longer than mine? Damn. This skin, this jawline definitely better than those plastic surgery faces at the club. Elijah's breathing noticeably deepened. He looked down at me, gaze direct, voice rough. What? Afraid someone will see? Didn't you want the whole room to know you're my wife just now? I flinched, playing the startled innocent. I didn't. The zipper stuck. To prove my innocence, I turned around, showing him the zipper I couldn't pull down. Elijah stared at my bare back, his eyes darkening. He reached out, cool fingertips brushing my skin. I shivered. His long fingers pulled the zipper down effortlessly. The gown slid off and pooled at my feet. Before I could cover my chest, he pressed me back against the mirror. This time, only a thin slip separated us. In the mirror, our bodies pressed together. The visual impact was overwhelming. Elijah's gaze landed unapologetically on my chest. Wine stains remained there, glistening temptingly under the light. I frantically covered myself, face burning. Elijah, you pervert. I glared at him, ashamed and angry. What are you looking at? Never seen a C-cup before? Keep staring and I'm charging. 10,000 a look, non-negotiable. This bastard plays the monk all day. Turns out he's just a horned dog underneath. Should be splashed more wine earlier. Dye his eyeballs red while I'm at it. Elijah actually laughed at my inner monologue. He suddenly pulled off his tie and wrapped it around his hand. The gesture was elegant, edged with ruthlessness. C-cup. He closed in, hot breath fanning my neck. His voice was low and rough, gritted out. I doubt it. Shall I measure for myself? I kept my face neutral. Measure? How do you plan to measure? With a ruler or with your hands? If it's hands, I guess that's okay. You're my husband, legally, no charge, and your hands do look bigger than Jerry's. Elijah couldn't take it anymore. Emma, shut up, he growled. He lowered his head and kissed me hard. The kiss held no tenderness, only punishment and possessive desire. His hand gripped my waist, pulling me into him until I could feel his heartbeat. I was kissed senseless, oxygen deprived, forced to endure everything that came suddenly. Just then, knock knock knock, urgent knocking sounded. Sophia's voice came through the door, tentative and anxious. Elijah, are you in there? I saw your jacket by the door. Is Emma changed? The second half of the gala is starting. My eyes flew open. My body went rigid. Shit. Caught. Why does this woman always show up at the worst possible moment? If she sees us like this, how am I supposed to play the abandoned wife? How do I get my billion? I pushed at Elijah frantically, trying to make him stop, but Elijah didn't let go. If anything, he grew bolder. He released my lips but didn't pull away. He trailed kisses down my jawline, onto the wine-stained skin. I moaned despite myself, then clapped a hand over my mouth. Elijah lifted his head, those bloodshot eyes full of wicked amusement. He leaned to my ear, brushing his tie lightly against my wrist, and called out to the door, "What's the rush?" Not changed yet. His voice was husky and lazy, carrying the satisfaction of someone had just had his way. Sophia's breath caught outside. The knocking stopped dead, but Elijah didn't spare me. He looked at my flushed face, eyes growing more dangerous. "Want $1 billion?" He nipped my earlobe, voice so low only I could hear. "Then start fulfilling your wifely duties." And that, Jerry, are his hands bigger than mine? The door opened. It changed into a spare gown. Following Elijah with my head down, Sophia waited outside. Her eyes swept over Elijah's slightly rumpled collar and my reddened lips. She crushed her handbag so hard her knuckles went white. "Elijah, you too?" Elijah didn't give her a chance to finish. "We're going home." He gripped my wrist and strode out, in the back of the Rolls-Royce. The atmosphere was heavy. I huddled by the door. Then my phone screen lit up. A text message popped up. "Babe, same place tonight. Let's work on that core strength." Jerry. The air went dead silent. My scalp exploded. Fuck. Jerry. My 20 grand personal trainer. Dude, you can remind me about the session without calling me babe. You're gonna get me killed. Elijah's eyes were glued to the screen. The temperature in the car dropped to freezing. "Stop the car." 2 cold words. The driver hit the brakes, pulled over smoothly, and raised the partition. Elijah picked up my phone. The cold glow lit his sharp features, making him look ruthless. "Jerry?" He said the name through gritted teeth, practically radiating murder and core strength training. I trembled. "Tears appearing on cue, darling. Let me explain. It's not what you think." I threw myself at his arm. "It's a misunderstanding. I don't even know anyone named Jerry. My $20,000. If he finds out I go to the gym to ogle hot guys with abs, this class is done for. And refunds charge a 20% fee. $4,000. That's a lot of ribs." Elijah's fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles went white. He turned to look at my crying face. "Don't know him?" He laughed coldly. "Then why does he call you babe?" My brain raced. He sells insurance. Yeah. Salesmen these days will call you anything to get close. No morals at all. I ran it indignantly. "Sorry, Jerry. For my 80% refund. You're an insurance salesman now." A vein throbbed at Elijah's temple. His long fingers tapped the screen twice and dialed the number directly. I sucked in a breath. "Don't call. Please don't call. That guy's famous for being loud and overly friendly." The call connected on the first ring. The car was silent. The voice came through clearly. "Hey babe, finally returning my calls. We still doing squats and hip thrusts tonight? I've got your yoga mat ready, baby." Heavy bass music thundered in the background. My vision went dark. I gave up. It's over. Totally over. No billion. And now I can't even keep my 20 grand training sessions. Just end it. End it all. Elijah said nothing. He hung up and threw the brand new phone out the window. "My phone," I cried out instinctively. Elijah gripped my chin, forcing me to face him. His eyes were terrifying, churning with a storm. "Squats. Hip thrusts." He was nearly touching my lips, enunciating each word. "Emma, you're quite the player." I shook my head wildly, making one last desperate attempt. That's physical therapy. My back's been hurting." Elijah looked at me and chuckled. The laugh made the hair on my neck stand up. "Back to the villa," he ordered the driver coldly. The car started again. Elijah released my chin and loosened his tie. Half an hour later, in the villa living room, the door burst open. Elijah strode in and sat down on the main sofa. "Kneel." His voice wasn't loud, but it carried the weight of authority. My knees went weak. I knelt on the cashmere rug, head down, shoulders shaking as I played pitiful. "Can I still get a refund? Plus the new yoga clothes and protein powder. Total loss. This money has to come out of Elijah's divorce settlement." "No. I need to find an excuse to ask for more allowance, compensate my wounded feelings." Elijah's building fury got stuck in his throat. He looked at the back of my kneeling figure, listening to her mind full of money calculations. No fear of being caught cheating, no hurt from being scolded, only heartbreak over $20,000 in training fees. Elijah laughed in spite of himself and stood up. He walked over to me. the shadow of his leather shoes falling over me. I carefully looked up, squeezing out to tears. Darling, I really know I was wrong. I'll never train my back again. Before I finish, the world spun. Elijah bent down and slung me over his shoulder, head down. What are you doing? I beat at his back in panic. He took long strides toward the master bedroom. Doing what? Elijah's large palm smacked my ass hard. Want to train your back? Want core strength? He kicked the bedroom door open and threw me onto the massive bed, his tall body covering mine. He looked down at me, a fire burning in his eyes. I'll teach you myself. Morning? I hobbled out of the master bedroom, holding my broken in half back. Elijah, that beast, didn't get my 20 grand training fee back and gave up a night of energy instead. At the top of the stairs, Sophia stood in my way, holding a glass of warm milk. She wasn't in a hospital gown today. She'd changed into a loose silk nightdress. Elijah went to the office. She lowered her voice, dropping the fragile act. Feeling pretty smug last night, weren't you, Emma? I yawned and ignored her. Obviously, I got worked half to death. You try it. A flash of venom crossed Sophia's eyes. She suddenly stepped forward and grabbed my wrist. You think Elijah really loves you? She sneered. He just doesn't want a reputation for abandoning his wife in front of the elders. I wrenched my hand back. Think whatever you want. Move. The moment I pulled away, Sophia suddenly let go. She tipped backward with a shrill scream and rolled down the spiral staircase. Thud. A heavy crash echoed through the empty living room. I stood at the top, looking down at her. She clutched her stomach, curled in pain on the tile floor. Bright blood trickled down her thigh, vivid and shocking. My stomach hurts. Elijah, the baby. She moaned weakly, face pale. The maids came running from all directions. Elijah's mother happened to walk in at that moment. Seeing the scene, her face changed drastically. She rushed over to help Sophia up. Sophia, what happened? Sophia trembled and pointed at me. Mrs. Voss. Emma didn't mean to. She was just so angry. Mrs. Voss looked up sharply, her furious gaze cutting into me. Emma, you poisonous woman. 3 years of marriage and not a single child, and now you'd even harm Sophia's baby. She pointed at my nose. The Voss family has no place for a woman with a heart as black as yours. Get out. I walked down the stairs and stood before the chaos, head down. I bit my lip hard and squeezed out a few tears. I didn't push her. She fell on her own. My voice trembled, my thin body swaying as if about to collapse. Holy shit, that's hardcore. This green tea bitch will use a fake miscarriage scheme just to get me out. Whether that blood is ketchup or the real thing, this assist gets a perfect score. Hurry up. Make a big scene. Elijah will have to divorce me now. The front door opened again. Elijah stepped in, radiating cold fury. Been called back, seeing the blood. His steps faltered slightly. Mrs. Voss immediately threw herself at him, crying, Elijah, look at the wife you married. She pushed Sophia and killed the baby. Elijah's gaze skipped past his crying mother and the weakened Sophia, landing directly on my face. I immediately turned, rushed to the entryway closet, pulled out a pre-packed suitcase, and walked back. I drew a fresh set of divorce papers from my bag and held them out to Elijah with both hands. It's all my fault. I was jealous of Sophia. I lost my head for a moment. I lowered my head, tears falling onto the agreement. Mr. Voss, I'm a sinner. I don't deserve to stay in the Voss family. I've already signed. I'll leave with nothing. I'll step aside for you too. Elijah didn't take them. His hands were in his suit pockets as he looked down at me. Take it, sign it. Thinks I'm leaving with nothing? My jewelry and watches are in the safe. An 8 million pink diamond. Enough to hire the top guys and travel the world. Elijah's eye twitched violently. He slowly turned his gaze to Sophia on the floor. Sophia wept weakly. Elijah, the baby, our baby is gone. Elijah suddenly smiled, a smile so cold it had no warmth. He pulled out a tiny remote and pressed it. A giant projection screen descended from the wall. The picture lit up. It was security footage from the second-floor stairwell. Full color, HD, night vision, on screen. Sophia grabbed my hand herself, let go herself, and rolled down herself smooth as butter. Our baby. Elijah walked over to Sophia, the toe of his shoe pressing into the blood stain on her dress. Go to the hospital, find out whose bastard it actually is, or whether it's just chicken blood from the supermarket. Sophia's crying stopped dead. She went white, shaking like a leaf. Mrs. Voss was also stunned, mouth hanging open. Elijah turned to the bodyguards at the door. Throw her out. Every private hospital in the city refused her admission. The bodyguards stepped forward, roughly hauling Sophia up, ignoring her screams and pleas, and dragged her out. The living room fell silent again, only the puddle of unknown liquid remaining on the floor. I stood there stupidly, still holding the divorce papers, stuck between advance and retreat. Security cameras? When did they install cameras in the second floor hallway? How did I not know? Wait, you just threw her out like that? What about my carefully staged exit? My pink diamond? My world tour with male strippers? Sign the damn papers. Elijah turned and advanced on me, his shadow swallowing me whole. He reached out and took the divorce papers from my hand. Just when I thought his conscience had kicked in and sign, he tore them to confetti again. Paper scraps drifted down. He leaned into my face, the safe in the south wing. He looked down at me, eyes amused. Tomorrow I'll have that pink diamond melted down, made into a pair of handcuffs for you. He gripped the back of my neck and pulled me toward him, locked to the bed. Let's see how you go to the club to hire your boys. 3 days later, an abandoned paper mill on the west side of the city. My hands were tied behind my back with rough hemp rope to a metal chair. I struggled, and the rope bit into my wrists. A faint whimper came from beside me. I turned. Sophia was tied to a concrete pillar. Hair disheveled, right cheek swollen, blood at the corner of her mouth. She glared at me, full of venom. What are you looking at? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been kidnapped by that maniac Jake. I rolled my eyes and ignored her. Obviously, if you hadn't teamed up with Elijah's rival to kidnap me, you wouldn't have gotten yourself caught too. IQ level. Touching, well, buy one get one free. The iron door screeched open. Jake walked in dragging a baseball bat. He picked up his phone, started a video call, and shoved it in our faces. On screen, Elijah sat in the back of a black Maybach, staring heavily into the camera. Mr. Voss, I've got both your ladies right here. Jake tapped my metal chair with the bat, the reserve bid for the Southside project. In exchange for both their lives, pick one, you take one, leave the other for my boys to have some fun with. Sophia immediately screamed, Elijah, save me. It's Sophia, save my baby. I shifted my chair away in disgust. The miscarriage act was already exposed and she's still mentioning the baby. What's in there anyway? 3 years and it still hasn't come out. Jake turned the camera to me. Mrs. Voss, any last words for your husband? I took a deep breath, tilted my head up, eyes tragic, tears welling. Elijah, don't worry about me. The project is your family's life's work. Take Sophia and go. My voice broke, playing the self-sacrificing saint to perfection. Pick her, pick her. I checked the terms of that massive personal accident insurance policy yesterday. Kidnapping and murder counts as a major accident. Payout doubles. $500 million. The beneficiary is my mom, Elijah. If you dare pick me today and ruin my mom's payday, I'll come back as a ghost and sit by your bed every night singing apology songs. On the other end of the video, Elijah's face instantly darkened. He stared at me through the screen, breathing hard. Emma, you want to die? His voice came through the speaker. Ruthless? I squeeze out to tears, obviously. 500 million versus the Voss family's cold-ass safe. Even an idiot knows which to pick. Hurry up. Take this green tea bitch and get out. Don't delay my reincarnation into a new life. Mr. Voss, 30 seconds, Jake urged impatiently. Don't choose. And I'll start by breaking Mrs. Voss's arm. Elijah suddenly chuckled. Bam. Before the video cut off, I heard a loud crash, the sound of a car door being kicked open with brute force. 3 minutes later, the iron door of the abandoned paper mill was kicked off its hinges. The heavy metal slab hit the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. Elijah walked in alone, taken off his suit jacket, wearing only a white shirt, tie hanging loose around his neck. Jake stared, then burst out laughing. Elijah Voss, you actually came alone? Where are your bodyguards? Elijah ignored Jake and walked straight to me. His eyes fell on my rope-burned wrists, and murderous intent churned in his gaze. For 500 million, you'd throw your life away? He crouched down and untied my ropes with lightning speed. I was completely stunned. How did he get here so fast? Was he waiting outside? Wait, 500 million? How does he know about the insurance? My policy is locked in a password safe. Jake, furious at being ignored, lost his temper. Get him, kill him. At his command, 5 or 6 thugs with steel pipes rushed out from the shadows. Elijah pushed me back into the chair. Sit still. Close your eyes. He grabbed a rusted steel pipe from the ground, and the next 3 minutes were a one-sided massacre. Elijah struck viciously, every blow aimed at joints and vital points. The sound of cracking bones and screams echoed through the warehouse. My eyes went wide as I watched the usually aloof, immaculate crown prince of the elite. Right now, he radiated violence and bloodlust. He grabbed Jake by the throat and slammed him into the wall. The South Side Project. You don't deserve to mention it. Elijah snatched Jake's baseball bat with one hand and smashed it into his right knee. A crisp crack. Jake screamed and collapsed. Total silence. Except for Sophia's uncontrollable shrieking, Elijah dropped the bat and turned toward me. A few drops of blood spattered his white shirt, glaring red. Just as he was about to reach me, Sophia, tied to the pillar, slipped halfway out of her ropes. She pulled out a rusty dagger, eyes deranged, and stabbed straight at my chest. Emma, die. The distance was too close. I couldn't dodge. This is it. Genuinely going to reincarnate now. I accepted my fate and closed my eyes. The expected pain never came. Instead, the sound of blade entering flesh, and hot liquid splattering across my cheek. My eyes flew open. Elijah stood in front of me. One hand gripped the dagger blade so tightly the veins bulged on the back of his hand. The other hand clamped around Sophia's throat. Lifting her off the ground, blood dripped from his palm onto my dress, drop by drop. Sophia's face turned purple, legs kicking in the air, eyes full of terror. Elijah looked at her, eyes ice cold. He said nothing, just kept tightening his grip, until Sophia's eyes rolled back and she was on the verge of suffocation. He let go, letting her crash to the floor. Shrill police sirens wailed outside the warehouse. Elijah left a word for the officers at the door. Clean this up. Then he turned and looked at me, frozen stiff in the metal chair. A bloodless smile tugged at his pale face. He reached out his bleeding hand, as if to touch my cheek, but stopped an inch away, afraid of dirtying me. Finally, his hand fell weakly. His tall body collapsed heavily against me, and my mind exploded. In that moment, there were no thoughts of 500 million, only blankness, and the sight of blood everywhere. The stench of disinfectant burned my nose. The VIP ward was quiet. Only the beep of the heart monitor. I sat by the bed, looking at Elijah's pale face. His right hand was wrapped in thick white bandages, faint red seeping through. He hadn't woken up yet. I picked up a cotton swab, dipped it in warm water, and gently touched his dry lips. My eyes stung. Idiot. Grabbing a rusty knife with your bare hand? The crown prince of the city's elite. If your hand is ruined, you can barely sign your name. If you die, I'm a rich widow. But this windfall of wealth, it doesn't feel so great anymore. My wrist was suddenly grabbed. I jumped, the cotton swab falling on the blanket. Elijah slowly opened his eyes. Those usually sharp black eyes were now tired and sickly. You're awake. I immediately switched to a tearful, overjoyed face. Darling, you scared me to death. I thought you. Tears fell. Thank God, the cash cow is safe. What if he's disabled? Do I have to push his wheelchair? Does pushing a wheelchair cost extra? Elijah's dry Adam's apple rolled. He didn't let go of my hand. Instead, he pulled me closer. No wheelchair. His voice was hoarse, thick with congestion. No extra charge. I froze, tears hanging on my lashes. What? How does he know I thought about charging extra for the wheelchair? Coincidence. He's delirious from the injury. I laughed awkwardly, trying to pull my hand back. Darling, did you hit your head? Talking nonsense. Why would I ask you for money? Elijah looked at me steadily. A weak but oppressive smirk crossed his pale face. Emma, he used my full name. Your 500 million accident insurance policy. The safe password is your birthday plus my death date. Want me to recite it for you right now? My pupils contracted, blood rushed to my head. My scalp exploded. How does he know the safe password? 3 years of secret savings. He pried open my safe. Elijah Voss, you sneaky bastard. Elijah watched my face contort in shock. With his uninjured left hand, he gently wiped the tears from my cheek. I didn't pry your safe. He enunciated each word clearly. Because you just called me a sneaky bastard in your head. Loud enough, the ward went dead silent. My mouth hung open. I forgot to breathe. My brain crashed. He can hear my thoughts. Elijah tilted his head back against the pillow, staring straight at me. Yes, he gave an unapologetic confirmation, including this morning when you wanted to take $1 billion and hire 10 male strippers. Including at the gala when you wanted to spit in my Blue Mountain coffee. Including when you thought Sophia's perfume was suffocating. And that goddamn Jerry who was going to help you with core strength training. With each sentence, my face went paler. By the end, I was ashen, covered in cold sweat. Elijah looked at me, on the verge of fainting. He squeezed my fingers hard, forcing me to meet his eyes. Emma, you played the obedient, downtrodden wife for 3 years, and cursed me in your head for 1,095 days. Fun, wasn't it? I went ice cold, completely petrified. 3 years of schemes, little plots, all the fake affection. In front of him, I was a clown running naked through the snow, not even a pair of underwear left. I'm dead, I wailed in despair inside. Now I can't even keep my funeral money. If he sues me for fraud, am I going to spend the rest of my life doing prison labor? Elijah heard my thoughts, and the corner of his mouth curved victorious. Wicked, certain, relax. He pulled my hand to his lips, opened his mouth, and bit down hard on my fingertip. A sharp pain made me gasp. He released his teeth, looked at the obvious bite mark. Eyes aggressive. Keep your funeral money. We'll be buried together. As for now, his gaze drifted down to my legs, which had gone weak without me noticing. Isn't it time we settled the emotional damages you've hidden from me for 3 years? The air in the ward froze for half a minute. I looked at Elijah's wicked face, then at my bitten finger. The strength to play fragile suddenly drained away. I yanked my hand back, leaned against the chair, and crossed my legs. Fine, I smirked, a what the hell smile spreading across my face. No underwear left. Why pretend to be a proper lady? Emotional damages? How about I pay in kind? You've only got one good hand. I'm in charge. I've wanted to touch those abs forever. Today I'm rubbing them raw. Elijah had been leaning against the pillow, looking down at me with scrutiny. Hearing my thoughts, his body went rigid for a second. A faint red crept up his ears. Emma, he gritted out, Adam's apple bobbing. Have you no shame? I didn't budge. You want me to come over? You're the patient. I'm in charge. Beg me. Elijah laughed in spite of himself. He threw off the covers. About to get out of bed, the ward door opened. Sophia was in a wheelchair, pushed in by 2 police officers. Her neck was wrapped in gauze marks from Elijah's grip. Her hair was messy, face pale. None of her former refinement and arrogance left Elijah. She lunged at the bedside as soon as she saw him, wailing, Elijah, save me. I don't want to go to prison. That maniac Jake kidnapped me too. I'm a victim. The 2 officers held her back, voices serious. Ms. Sophia, please control yourself. We're only here for your final identification statement. Sophia struggled desperately, pointing at me and screaming. It's her. That bitch Emma provoked Jake. The knife was meant for her. Elijah, you got hurt saving her, she cried, snot and tears running. I sat in my chair, not moving an inch. Before, I would be cursed her entire ancestry inside while playing wronged on the surface. But now, I couldn't even be bothered to curse her in my head. I simply stood up and walked to her wheelchair. Sophia froze, her crying stopping, watching me warily. What are you doing? I raised my right hand and slapped her. The crack echoed through the ward. Sophia's head snapped to the side, a red mark blooming on her left cheek. Emma, how dare you hit me? She shrieked. Clutching her face, I shook my stinging wrist. I'll hit you whenever I want. Do I need a special occasion? I looked down at her. Eyes ice cold. Sophia, are you brain damaged? You really think Elijah kept you around because he still has feelings for his first love? I shattered her last illusion. He was just using you as a laughable tool to test my limits. Did you really think you mattered? Sophia whipped her head toward Elijah, desperate for a denial. Elijah, she's lying, right? Elijah leaned against the headboard, didn't even glance at her. With his uninjured left hand, he pulled a wet wipe from the nightstand and held it out to me. Hand hurt. His tone was calm, indulgent. Next time, let the bodyguards do the dirty work. Don't get your hands dirty. Sophia went completely rigid. She stared at Elijah in disbelief, only despair and madness left in her eyes. Elijah, you're insane. What kind of spell has she put on you? The officers, seeing this, pushed Sophia's wheelchair back. Miss Sophia, the identification is complete. Jake has already confessed to your conspiracy to kidnap and extort. Please cooperate with our investigation. Sophia struggled wildly, shrieking, until she was pushed out of the ward. The hallway gradually quieted. I took the wet wipe from Elijah and wiped my fingers. Just sending her to prison like that, doesn't it hurt your heart? I raised an eyebrow. Elijah looked at me, his deep gaze moving from my hand wiping to my slightly upturned eyes. It does. He answered without hesitation. My movements paused. My face fell. What? You actually still have feelings for her? Believe me, I'll yank your oxygen tube right now. Elijah suddenly laughed. He grabbed my wrist, a hard yank, and I stumbled, falling onto his chest. His hot breath brushed my ear, and I shivered. I only feel bad. He lowered his voice, dangerous. That my wife's $20,000 personal training sessions won't have anyone to help her with core strength anymore. Half a month later, the hillside villa. Elijah's cast had just come off. I sprawled on the living room leather sofa, scrolling through my new phone. My previous phone had been unceremoniously thrown out the window by Elijah on that chaotic night. Ding, a text notification suddenly sounded. It just logged back into my old account, and a 60-second voice message popped up. Contact name, Coach Jerry. My hand shook. The phone nearly hit my face. Before I could hit delete or recall, Elijah walked out of the kitchen carrying warm water. He wore loungewear, the loose collar revealing his collarbone. Who's that from? He came over and glanced down at the screen. I panicked, fumbling to hide the phone. No one. Selling investment products. I'm gonna die. Why is this muscle-brained coach messaging me right now? Rise from the dead much? Elijah's eyes narrowed slightly. His uninjured left hand reached over and plucked the phone from my grasp. One tap, and the 60-second voice played through the living room in surround sound. Hey babe, you've been MIA for over 2 weeks. Remember that 20 grand you owe me for personal training? We still doing core work. I've got your yoga mat ready, baby. Hit me back. A deep male voice, paired with an unbelievably sleazy tone, devastating. The air in the living room went dead silent again. My legs went weak. I slid off the sofa and onto the carpet. Darling, let me explain. I held up 3 fingers. Face full of sincerity. He's really a legitimate trainer. 6'4", 200 pounds, eats 3 family buckets of chicken in one sitting, pure muscle. Strictly business. My $20,000. It's totally gone now. This pervert Elijah is probably gonna blow up the gym along with the guy. Elijah looked at me quietly. He listened to my internal wailing. His clenched jaw suddenly relaxed. He wasn't angry. Instead, he chuckled. The laugh was low and pleasant. He pulled out his phone and called his assistant. Assistant Cole. His tone was flat. Acquire the Geek Gym on West Street. Full buyout. Yes, including all trainer contracts. Tell that Jerry guy he's fired. He hung up. Elijah bent down and scooped me up off the carpet. Your $20,000 refund? He looked at my widening eyes. Will be in your account first thing tomorrow. Every cent. I sucked in a breath. Holy shit. Capitalist. Efficiency. Money talks. Absolute domination. That's hot. He's not even mad. He got my refund? Did someone possess his body? Elijah heard my thoughts. The smile on his lips growing. He didn't let go, turning to walk to the coffee table. With one hand, he picked up a thick document envelope. Emma, stand up straight. His tone turned serious. I immediately stood at attention, hands at my sides. Elijah handed me the envelope. Open it. I took it suspiciously and pulled out the documents. The bold black letters at the top burned my eyes. Unconditional asset gift agreement. I flipped through rapidly. Real estate, offshore trust funds. 30% controlling stake in Voss Group. The beneficiary column had my name everywhere. My hands shook so hard the papers nearly fell. What does this mean? I swallowed, voice floating. Oh my God, is this $1 billion? It's more than 10 billion. Am I dreaming? Pinch me. This kind of wealth is falling on me? Elijah advanced step by step, backing me into the sofa until I had nowhere to go and plopped down. He braced his hands on the armrests, trapping me in his shadow. It means, he leaned down, the tip of his nose nearly touching mine. In those deep black eyes was extreme possessiveness and obsessive devotion. I'm giving you everything I own, including my life, to buy you for the rest of your life. No club strippers. No Jerry. Only stay by my side. He paused, voice low and seductive. Is it enough? I looked at his face. So close. That face had looked at for 3 years and still found stunning right now. It made my heart race more than the multi-billion-dollar agreement. I didn't play coy. I was done pretending. I hooked my arms around his neck and pulled him in, kissing him hard on the lips. Enough. More than enough. I laughed inside my head. Who needs male strippers? With this face, this body, this net worth, I'm absolutely crushing it. My ancestors must be smiling down. Elijah's breathing instantly turned heavy. He took control, his large hand cupping the back of my head, deepening the kiss until I was breathless, eyes red at the corners. He reluctantly let go. He lifted me into his arms and strode toward the stairs. Since you've accepted the money, he looked down at me, eyes swirling with desire. Mrs. Voss? Isn't it time we discuss that $10 billion project? I buried my face in his chest, listening to his strong heartbeat, arms locked tight around his waist. Always, hey there, could you rate this story in the comments? Use a scale of 1 to 10. Please, I'm begging you. It really means a lot to me, and if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit follow.